Living on one income means I have to be creative with how I save money around the house. Oftentimes, this means making things ourselves because this can save a lot of money. So, I'm going to show you today what I made this week to help my family save money while we are living on one income. When I quit my job 5 years ago, it meant a huge shift in how we spent money and what we did to save money around the house. I took the saying, a penny saved is a penny earned to heart. So this way, it would allow me the freedom to stay home with my kids. I find that making a lot of our baked goods at home and definitely all of our meals at home is a wonderful way to save a decent amount of money. When I can bake a loaf of quality bread for $1 where it would cost me $3 at the store for subpar bread, the savings really do add up after a while. So the effort is definitely worth it to make sure that I can be home with my kids. So once a week, I take time to prepare some food and pre-made items for my family. And that way I am not having to rush during the week trying to make these. They're just already made. Every week, I start off by making a couple loaves of bread. Typically, we need 2 for the week. Sometimes I'll make extra throughout the week if we happen to need it, but this is perfect for my family for the week. I am using a whole wheat flour here. Normally, I would use a white flour from the store, but I decided to switch over to this whole wheat flour. So my loaves are looking a little low these days just because I'm getting used to baking with this whole wheat flour. So I think next time I am going to grab a bag of bread flour as well so I can mix them together. It doesn't change the taste. The taste of this bread is absolutely delicious, but it's just not as lovely risen as your typical white bread would be. So after I get my 2 loaves of bread into rise, I am starting off with some banana chocolate chip muffins. These are our favorite muffins to make, and they don't involve eggs or anything like that, so they're allergy free, which is also really nice. In one bowl, I had 2 cups of flour, half teaspoon baking soda, 1 teaspoon baking powder, and a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I just stirred that all together. Now, in a separate bowl, I am mashing 3 ripe bananas, half a cup of applesauce. Now, normally I would use applesauce, but I actually had some pumpkin puree left over, as well as some peach butter. So instead of using the applesauce, pumpkin and peach butter work just as well here. And considering I had them open in my fridge, that's what I decided to use here. So if you're ever out of eggs or out of applesauce, you can go ahead and use pumpkin if you have that, or peach butter or pear butter. It all works the same way. Pumpkin puree and applesauce and that sort of thing is an oil replacer. So oil can be incredibly expensive. So if you're looking to bake without it, pumpkin puree, applesauce, any sort of fruit sauce is a great replacement for this. Now, on top of that, I did add a 1/4 cup of maple syrup for a sweetener and 2 tablespoons of flaxseed meal. So I'm using flaxseed as a replacement for eggs in this meal. It also adds a lot of omega-3s and it just makes a nice healthy muffin. So I'm really happy being able to feed my family these muffins, and I quite enjoy them myself as well. Snacks can be incredibly expensive at the store, so I absolutely adore being able to make my kids snacks at home. And oftentimes this comes in the form of muffins. Now I'll experiment and make a bunch of different muffins as well, but these are our go-tos and our favorites. At this point, I realized that my batter was entirely too thick and realized I forgot to put my milk in there. So that's 2/3 cup of milk that I added in, and then just a half a cup of chocolate chips. Now, if you didn't want to use chocolate chips, any sort of berry or raisin would be perfect in here as well, and then they'd make a really great breakfast muffin. Once I get these scooped into my muffin containers, I'm going to put them at 350 in the oven for 25 to 28 minutes until you can stick a toothpick in there and no batter comes out on the toothpick. Now you can also make this into a loaf, and if you did that, then you would have to bake it for 60 to 70 minutes. Other snacks that I'll typically make for my children throughout the week are also granola bars and cookies if I feel like making those. I was strapped a little bit for time today, so I just stuck with the muffins, and then we have lots of fresh fruit around so they can just help themselves to that as well. Now, the holiday season is quickly arriving, and I know that we are going to be incredibly busy. I happen to have 3 birthdays throughout December. My husband, my daughter, and my mother-in-law all have birthdays in December. So December is incredibly busy for us and very festive. So I want to be able to be on top of the 8 ball this season, so I am making some pie crust ahead of time. Now, I have previously canned some apple pie filling and pear pie fillings, so I have myself covered there, but I want to make sure that I can just have those pie crusts available to me to pull out of the freezer and get in a pie plate as soon as possible so I can take a lot of the prep work out for myself for that busy month. Pre-made pie crusts in the store are so incredibly expensive, it's not even funny, where you can make pie crusts at home and they are so inexpensive, like 75 cents a pie crust, and they are just so much better tasting. Typically, I find whatever I make fresh at home just tastes so much better than anything store-bought or pre-made, and the nutrition factor far outweighs anything bought in the store as well. So it is definitely worth my time to do this. And it's funny, every now and again, I will get somebody comment, "Oh, you're just working at home instead of working for a job." And this is true. I'm not working at a job. I am working at home. But I would much rather work at saving money while being at home with my children, working for myself and my family, than commuting to a job that I have to spend extra money on clothes for, working for somebody else, and then getting taxed for it. At the end of the day, I would have to spend extra money to go work for someone else, whether that's commuting or clothes for that job, because before this, I was a nurse, so that means scrubs, as well as running shoes and things like that. So I would end up spending more money to go work at that place and then getting taxed as well, where I can spend my time working for my family and saving money at home. And to me, that's much more worthwhile. Now, I am slowly trying to get plastic out of my kitchen, so I found these beeswax bags that I am putting my pie dough in today. And on top of putting them in these beeswax bags, I am then also placing them in silicone Ziploc bags. So I'm hoping that that works out instead of wrapping these in plastic wrap. I don't like the trash that it creates, and then I don't like the microplastics as well. So I am trying to slowly transition away from the plastic Ziploc bags and any sort of plastic wrap or aluminum wrap or things like that. It's still in my kitchen. I still use it sometimes, but I am trying to transition out of this. So I did find these beeswax bags, so I'm really hoping that this works for these pie crusts today. I will definitely be making an apple pie as well as pumpkin pie throughout the season. Apple is my daughter's favorite and pumpkin is my son's favorite, so I like to make those every year. What is your favorite pie to make over the holiday season? Now that I've got those pie crusts done and ready for the freezer, my bread is ready to be separated and put in the loaf tins. So I let this rise for over an hour, just until it doubled in size. Now I get them separated into 2 separate loaf tins and I let them rise for another half an hour in a warm place. I like to get my wood fire going so that it's got a nice warm place to rise right above there. Now, if you're wondering where these recipes are, I will make sure that I do have them in the description box for you in case you're wondering how to make these yourself as well. These muffins came out really nicely and they taste so good. So definitely I would encourage you to try these. Now, I am personally having some perimenopause symptoms, so I am looking for natural ways to kind of help my body transition through this time. And I found a recipe for hormone healthy hot cocoa, and I kind of made some adjustments to it for myself. So I know it was important to get raw cacao powder because it has far more antioxidants and beneficial properties to it. So I add 2/3 a cup of the raw cacao powder. To this, I add 3 tablespoons of turmeric. Turmeric's very anti-inflammatory. 6 teaspoons of ginger. Ginger is also very anti-inflammatory. And after that, I add 1 tablespoon of maca. Maca powder is really good at balancing hormones. It's very good at making sure your progesterone and estrogen levels are more equally balanced. So I made sure to add this in there as well. Next, I add 6 teaspoons of cinnamon and 3 teaspoons of black cumin powder. And then I just heat up some milk and add 1 tablespoon plus a little bit of maple syrup or sugar or whatever it is that you would use. And then you have your hormone healthy hot chocolate. So I got my bread in baking for 20 minutes at 350, and now I have beautiful whole wheat bread for us for the week. After my bread was done, I decided to get some homemade naan bread up to rise. We eat a lot of Indian food. I love Indian food, but I never actually go out and buy naan bread for it, and I always miss naan bread. So I decided today to try my own naan bread. Now this is a first for me. I have never made naan bread before, so I am attempting to do that today. I wanted to get a few of these done and in the freezer so I can go get them whenever I do some curries or some dal so that we have some nice fresh naan bread to eat. So I start off with 3 cups of flour, and then in a separate bowl I add 2 1/4 teaspoon yeast and a cup of warm water, and I let the yeast kind of sit in that warm water for a little bit. Where I also add 2 tablespoons of sugar to that. It just helps the yeast to activate. And to the flour, I add a teaspoon of salt. And then after that, I add the yeast mixture in there, as well as a 1/2 cup of milk with a teaspoon of lemon juice in it. Now you can use yogurt here, but I don't personally have yogurt in the house at the moment, so I decided to do like a homemade buttermilk kind of recipe there. So if you just add some lemon to the milk, it curdles the milk a bit, makes it more of a buttermilk consistency, and then you can add that in. So I go ahead and I just knead this for about 5 minutes until the naan bread gets nice and elasticy and a little ball there. And then I'm going to get it into an oiled bowl and let it rise for about an hour or until it doubles in size. Again, I've got my wood cook stove going, so that is the perfect place for any of my broad products to rise. And I just want to take a moment to thank my Patreon members. If you're not aware, over on Patreon, I have another creator page where I share a lot of exclusive content that I do not share anywhere else, including video tutorials and weekly budget posts. So if that is something that interests you, make sure you head on over there. And a big thank you to my Patreon members. You help to keep me doing and creating the content that I share with you guys today. And for everybody else who has made it this far in the video, thank you so much for being here. You also help me to continue creating the content for you guys. So as my naan bread is rising, I'm going to go ahead and get started on some homemade tortillas. I love making burritos or homemade tacos, so having these homemade tortillas around is just perfect. They are so affordable to make and way cheaper than store-bought, as well as just tasting so much better. So I start off with 1 1/2 cups of flour and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, and I mix that together. I add in a half a cup of hot water with 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and I just mix it all together into a dough. And then I knead the dough for about 5 minutes until, again, it becomes a nice elastic ball. Then I separated that out into 8 little balls and let them sit for about 20 minutes. After that, I took each ball and I rolled them out until they were 1/8 of an inch thick, or pretty much see-through basically. While I'm rolling these out, I have a cast iron pan on the stove heating up because I'm going to want that pan nice and hot for getting these wraps into. Next, I get my wrap into my pan. It takes about a minute to a minute and a half for these to cook on the one side. You can see that it's bubbling. Once that starts to bubble, I give it a quick flip so that it can cook on the other side. And then I have these beautiful whole wheat wraps for my family to enjoy. If you're looking for other ways to save money in the kitchen, I am going to attach my budget meal playlist. I have so many ideas there for you for how you can save money in the kitchen. So make sure that you click there and go check out all of the videos there. There's a lot there that I share for you. So after I get my tortillas made, I am done rising my naan bread. So I'm going to pull these out into 8 separate balls. Now I'm going to roll these out as well into oval shapes, but I'm not going to roll them as thin as the tortillas. And I'm going to cook these in pretty much the same way as I did the tortillas. Now, if you had some cilantro or parsley, you could put this in the dough right now while you're rolling it out to add some extra flavor to your naan bread. I'm not personally going to do that today, but in the future, I might add those as well. I will be making some lentil curry this night, so it's going to be so nice to enjoy these naan breads with that curry. Making delicious meals with beans is a wonderful way to save money in the kitchen. So again, if you're looking for some of those recipes, check out my budget meal playlist. So I pop these in the frying pan, wait until they bubble, and then I just flip them over, and that leaves me with some beautiful whole wheat naan. And I'm just taking some melted butter and putting it over top of that. These will also freeze really well. Any sort of bread product really freezes well, so you could go ahead and make a huge batch of these, freeze them, and pull them out individually. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me here today. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you all next time.